you think about what has been won here for the crypto community, and I think the immediate question does become what changes? What do you see in the immediate aftermath?
Well, our big objective in this entire process has been to take the hyper-politicization of the crypto issue and the demagoguery out of the equation. And so about a year ago, we decided to build a very large political operation to do just that. And I think if you had to boil it down, that's the thing that we've been able to achieve, which is we've been able to get policymakers to think about crypto on the merits, to look around the world and see that virtually every other G20 country is providing regulatory clarity in the space. And now we hope the U.S. will do the same. All we're looking for is clear rules, certainty, predictability, and an ability to build in the United States. And I think we're going to be able to get that.
So on that, what's the specific action that you want to see that will indicate to you on day one that this administration gets it when it comes to crypto? What is it?
Well, there's two things. One is which is what President Trump has already done, which is to set the tone from the top. He's been very clear that he wants crypto to grow and build in the United States. He wants the U.S. to be a leader. And that matters a lot because it sends messages to regulators and officials all throughout the federal and state level of government, which I think is important. The other is we want clear rules, and that means what's known as a market structure bill, which means legislation that will give the CFTC the authority to regulate crypto commodity spot markets and direct the SEC to create opening for the tokenized markets of securities to be able to trade there. And then we want rules around the issuance of stablecoins. U.S. dollar-backed stablecoins make up about 98% of the stablecoin market. They should be issued out of the United States, and legislation will allow for that to happen.
What comes first? Those are absolutely tangible measures. They're making its way through Congress. But at the end of the day, it will matter to investors what they see in what timeline.
Well, I think the rally that you've seen both in underlying crypto token markets and in the equity markets for companies like ours tells you how severe the headwinds have been that we've been facing as a result of the political chaos that the Biden regulators have unleashed on the industry, as well as some members of Congress, including Sherrod Brown and others. So I think once you sort of take this kind of ahistorical period that we've lived in, where you've got politicians and regulators trying to gang up on American industry and take that away and put us in the same footing as any other industry, you see what the opportunity is. And investors are responding both in terms of the token markets as well as the equity markets. And for companies like us, we're going to take that opening and build here. We're going to build the next generation of the payments infrastructure and help build the next generation of the financial architecture, which is really, really exciting. The U.S. needs to be a leader in that space, and we're eager to do our part to make that happen.
Now that you see the U.S. being more of a leader than it has been over the last 4 years in this space, I'm wondering how that changes your outlook about crypto around the world. For example, does this make investment in Europe more or less desirable? Does it make investment in China and other parts of Asia more or less desirable?
Well, China's a different story. They have a completely different regime, so I would set that one aside. But for most of the rest of the world, they've been courting companies like us extraordinarily aggressively. They've taken a look at the U.S. They've seen how much pressure we've been under as a result of this political sort of kind of targeting that we've been under. And they've been trying to draw us into the UK, to the EU, Singapore, the UAE, Australia, Brazil, you name it. Major markets around the world have wanted the industry to leave the U.S. and come there to get the political certainty and the regulatory certainty that we need. And now there's going to be an opportunity to build here. And I don't think it's an either-or thing. We're going to continue to, as a company, Coinbase, invest in the European Union, which is our second largest market, invest in the UK, which is our largest single national market, and then throughout Asia and Latin America. And we're really, really excited about that, and we're excited to build in the U.S. as well. I think it's going to be an extraordinary period for the development of a tokenized financial architecture, and Coinbase is going to be in the front of that, and that's super exciting.
The scale of what you have done was large. It was so large that it was the largest single issue super PAC in history. The campaign dwarfed what you saw from, say, Koch Industries or Chevron, and it was really second only to what you saw in the fossil fuel industry. You guys won most of the races out there, only lost 2 so far. Is there something more permanent here that has been done to U.S. politics, in your view, with a recognition from politicians across the country now that they can't ignore crypto?
I hope so, but I don't think it's just a lesson for crypto. It just tells you what happens when you've got a handful of demagoguing politicians who pick on a group of Americans who are trying to build an industry here and try to use unlawful means to do so. And one way to deal with that has been to go to court like we have and a bunch of others have. That'll take years to resolve. We all have very high conviction that we're going to win, but it's going to take years until some of these cases work their way to the Supreme Court. In the short term, we've gone through the political route. And when members of Congress, candidates, others say to us, okay, tell us exactly what you have in mind, we say to them, we want clear federal rules, we want legal certainty, and we want an end of the demonization. And it's hard for Democrats or Republicans not to find that resonant with them. I think progressives like crypto because it's democratizing and it's inclusive. Republicans like crypto because it builds financial strength and it's also empowering of kind of the grassroots. And so we're very much kind of one of the few bipartisan issues left in town. Our political spending has allowed us to clear the air and have a dialogue with policymakers, including both presidential candidates. And I think other industries who are facing this sort of politicization should think about that as well for themselves.